Welcome to a new episode of the Optimize Yourself podcast. In this episode, we have a very special guest. Her name is Nancy. Nancy, please introduce yourself.
Hi, thanks so much, Tessa. Thank you for optimizing yourself for having me. My name is Nancy. I'm a pharmacist in Canada. Uh, and so I have been in Canada since 2013 and started my pharmacy professions in 2016. I started as a retail pharmacist alongside with the specialty, so part-time retail and part-time in the specialty pharmacy. Um, and then along the way, the specialty pharmacy opened a position, a full-time position. So I applied for that and I got the full-time position. Yeah, so this is me.
That's awesome. So let's start from the very beginning. So what was like the primary reason which inspired you to pursue a career in pharmacy?
All right. So back home, my family owns a pharmacy. So we were like, okay, the culture back home was like the kids, they inherit the business and they grow it and all that. So myself and my sisters, we all became pharmacists to, own the business after. My mom, she was a pharmacist. My dad as well, he wasn't a pharmacist, but he was helping with the business. So let's say I was externally driven to become a pharmacist. However, I think it took me to where I am now, which makes me so like happy and fulfilled.
Amazing. And what challenges did you face during your pharmacy education which tested your commitment to becoming a pharmacist?
Okay, so as I just mentioned about being externally driven, so I wasn't like really, happy to study pharmacy. Maybe the subjects, the materials were not really appealing to me. So I think that was a challenge. Although I loved chemistry so much, but chemistry is not all pharmacy. So this was a challenge during pharmacy school. And then when I came to Canada, after being already a pharmacist, established pharmacist who own a pharmacy, and I have my business, growing the business and all that, and then I have to come here, start from scratch, working as a casual job, and then having to do my PVC. So this was a bit of a challenge. However, I think I have gained a lot of experience in my country back home that I have, added on here in Canada, where for example, facing like the public in the pharmacy. So that fear of speaking to the public wasn't really a big challenge here when I came to Canada. Also, in Egypt, my country, pharmacists are frontline, exactly like here. So, but what makes it even more special there is the pharmacist there is like the go-to person for the patient. So whenever a patient feels something, any symptom or whatnot, they just go to the pharmacist right away. You don't even think about speaking to the doctor first. So we have learned there a lot of, diseases management, side effect management, like even non-pharmacological management. So I think this has put a very strong, like a solid ground for me to build on. So I would say it was a challenge moving to a different country. However, what I've learned back there has helped me a lot here.
Awesome. And how was your journey after graduation?
So after graduation, I started right away in our pharmacy. It's a retail pharmacy. So, uh, like my family was helping for sure, but I always had in my head that I want to do something different. We didn't have at that time the power of social media, the power of influencing and getting different ideas. Mostly like after finishing pharmacy school, you just either you work in a pharmacy or you own a pharmacy. But other than that, it wasn't really something very common to do. So I have studied at the American University in Cairo, AUC, sales and marketing. So to pursue more marketing in pharmaceutical companies. However, I didn't actually do that job, but this is something I learned. Uh, like I studied to pursue that career. However, I didn't do it because I knew that I'm gonna come to Canada, and I knew that I'm gonna study like the PVC and all that to become a pharmacist. So there has been always something in my head for a change, for something different to do. not just being a regular retail pharmacist. So this was back then. And then when I came here, uh, I have completed the PVC. I went to my internship in Edmonton and Alberta. My plan was always to come back to Ontario, so I just finished 6 months there in a retail pharmacy, and I came back here. And as I mentioned at the beginning, I was doing retail alongside with specialty, and then moving to specialty full time. So during the specialty, like while I was there, like I'm there already, but I mean, at the beginning when I first encountered those different diseases, so we deal with very complex diseases like rare diseases, inflammatory diseases like Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, the other inflammatories like rheumatoid arthritis. There is also HIV. There is multiple sclerosis. There is different kind of cancers. So when I have seen all these conditions, something hit me, and I was like, okay, these people or this patient population are almost like they're not gonna get any cure. So they need some sort of help beside their treatment. So I started to do something different on this, like along those lines in terms of patient education, patient empowerment, to make them um, like very educated about what do they have, like the condition they have, and how to deal with it, how to live with it, how to have their best life while living this disease or like having this disease.
Amazing. And is that what influenced you to specialize in multiple sclerosis?
Yes, exactly. So honestly, this was primarily due to personal reasons. So my mom, she was diagnosed with MS while she was in pharmacy school. And you can imagine at that time there was no treatment, nothing to slow progression, especially in Egypt, like there was no treatment at that time. Uh, like during my childhood, like honestly, I was like, okay, why are you feeling these symptoms all the time? For example, let's take fatigue as a symptom. So fatigue is one of the very common symptoms of MS, like MS patients with cancer. So like when I see her, like there is no reason to be tired. So why are you tired? Like you've slept, for example, you had a good sleep. Why the next day you're tired? Why we're not able to go to the mall, do some shopping together? Why you aren't able to play with me? Like, you know what I mean? Um, so this really has put me like when I started to like now when I started to deal with the MS patients, it really hit something at the back of my head in my childhood. So that's why I wanted to be equipped with the most knowledge that I can have to really help these people live their best life whilst on their disease modifying therapy and uh, minimize the bad impact of these medications because they have side effects definitely, and sometimes side effects are even worse than the disease itself. Very rare, but I mean it could happen. And even the let's say like a DMT would maybe cause some sort of cancer or so. Even if it's a 1% chance, imagine yourself a patient and the pharmacist telling you that, or you knew in a way or another that this medication will give me this side effect, which is even worse than what I'm having already, what I'm feeling already. So I wanted them to feel that, okay, you are not alone in this journey. We are all here to help you, to support you, to provide you with all the information that you would need, that would benefit you and would make you feel um, like enhance your well-being and improve your quality of life. To patients and to their caregivers or like anybody actually affected with MS, not necessarily like I myself would have MS, but my household are affected with MS. So that's why I wanted to be equipped and have a full grasp of the disease, of the symptom management, of the side effect management of the DMTs, or like all aspects related to MS.
Inspiring. And what do you like most about your current role in a specialty pharmacy?
So specialty pharmacy is a lovely niche. I just love it. So it is so like it's very small. Like the niche is very small, very specialized in this particular area. So we are very focused on this kind of diseases that we have to really be put on, like how to manage these diseases and, you know, to have the full knowledge about them. So continuing education is very important. So I'm always exposed to new things. This makes me like I feel like being like knowledgeable is something really important and really fulfills me. Another thing is when this patient population they feel that there's someone who answered their question, but almost always no one is really able to answer them. Sometimes doctors they don't have really the time to spend the time with patients for a long time to address their questions and concerns. So when they talk to the pharmacist in the specialty pharmacy and we spend like a good half an hour maybe or even more with one patient about their disease, about their condition, so they really feel like they really appreciate the time that we give them. So this is something when a patient, for example, tells me, actually this happened. So when I'm as patient, so she was talking to me about some kind of symptoms, and then she was like, "Oh, where have you been? I have been, wondering about these symptoms." So when she said, "Oh, where have you been?" So I was like, "Okay, I'm here." You know what I mean? So it's really fulfilling. You really live real life stories that in the retail pharmacy, because I worked sometime there, so I kind of know how the retail would work. So we have different stories with patients. I know the retail pharmacy, there is this rapport with the pharmacist, and it's considered like their family pharmacy or the family pharmacist. But when patients they have certain diseases that are most likely have no cure, and for example, some certain cancers, they know that one day they will not be with their family. So sometimes they share these personal things with you. So the relation is much more deeper, like on a deeper level. So this is something very fulfilling. It really makes me feel like I have a purpose. It's not. I'm not just going to complete a shift and go back home. It's something that they inspire me. They actually they are my why. When they ask what is your why, these patients are my why. Why I'm getting up in the morning to serve these patients, to provide them with the knowledge, to help identify drug-drug interaction, to prevent harm, to um, like to help them in any way.
Amazing. Yeah, that's definitely a very rewarding experience. So I remember when I came, well, like when I basically connected with you the first time, it was actually on LinkedIn, and
Yes.
uh, and you were posting frequently on LinkedIn, and you actually recently started your own Instagram page. So
Mm-hmm.
what was your primary inspiration to like regularly post and write on LinkedIn about pharmacy, about multiple sclerosis, and even starting your own Instagram page to educate the public about multiple sclerosis?
Okay, so LinkedIn is a more or less professional platform. So my whole goal was to educate other healthcare professionals about what I know already, especially retail pharmacists who might not really have the full knowledge about MS, or even like any other of the specialty diseases that we deal with. But my main focus is on MS. There are some content of like others, but like let's say about 70% is MS of my content, and then the rest of the 30% would be like some leadership or inspiration, and also like the other disease states. So my main focus was to educate other people who may deal with MS patients, like other pharmacists, for example, or even like just a person on LinkedIn who may know some, like a family member or a friend or a colleague who has MS, to educate them about what symptoms they may have. As an example, again, this fatigue thing. So let's say your colleague at work, he or she always tired, and you don't know the reason, or like you feel like, oh, you're just being lazy. But we don't want to judge until we know uh, like the reason behind that, and we need to be more compassionate. So in order to know, like to understand and to be more compassionate, you have to know the reason. So So this is why I started this content of I wanna make people like everybody know what MS what MS is, what people having MS feel, what is like a day in the life, of one of the patients. If I can do this, I would definitely do that. If I can like walk through a day, like a real day of a patient, their ups and downs, their, sometimes during extreme cold weather, how do they feel? During extreme heat weather or hot weather, what do they feel? So we need to know why in order to not judge these people. So it was more or less, I mean, more of professional, like I'm targeting more professionals here. And also if there is a one person or another who knows someone who lives with MS. My Instagram page is more targeted through patients. So my page is still at the very beginning. It's like a baby now. So I'm trying to be more consistent. I'm more consistent actually on LinkedIn as opposed to Instagram. But like this year, I have in my mind that I'm gonna be committed as well to my Instagram page. It's more targeted to patients, and the type of content would be different. Even the format would be different. Like on LinkedIn, you can have a post that is like long post that has like maybe 3 paragraphs or so. As opposed to Instagram, you just post a picture or a reel, like a video or so, and then maybe just a little caption after. So it has to be like really straight to the point and like not a lot of talking. On LinkedIn, you can still post a picture or like a link or whatnot, but then you can write as much as you can.
Exactly. Yeah, this is definitely a great tool, which would be helpful for both healthcare professionals and patients at the same time,
Mhm.
and will really educate them about
Exactly.
multiple sclerosis specifically and the profession of pharmacy in general.
Hmm.
And it kind of reminds me when I first started my YouTube channel, I really wanted to provide valuable content and I kept like brainstorming what type of content I want to provide to help students and kind of like also recent graduates from university navigate their own path.
Hmm.
So this brings me to the last question. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years as a pharmacist?
Okay, that's a big question. um, well, I have a project in mind I'm still working on. I don't want to reveal much about it, but it's something different than what I've been doing already. So, and it will have a positive impact on MS and on oncology, like cancer patients and many others. But I don't want to go into much details about it like right now. So this is a project that I'm working on. Another thing I would say, I'm just, you know, dreaming of having a pharmacist hand in hand with a neurologist. From what I experienced in our pharmacy, neurologists they are almost always busy in terms of getting renewal back. Like when we send renewal requests, they take a lot of time. They have to look into MRI, or they have to look into blood work. They have to look into other like a lot of things in order to approve the renewal. While in most cases there will be no issues related what to be issued. So I'm thinking, like, I really hope that one day there will be a pharmacist working with the neurologist that can do all the work for the neurologist, helping, checking blood work, checking MRI, when we get through the training and all that about this. Um, and maybe have the neurologist and just, approving results, for example. This is one thing. Maybe a pharmacist as well would help the patients at the neurologist's office with symptom management, with drug interactions. Drug interactions is very important and is something most of the time is overlooked unfortunately, by physicians. And maybe because it's more of our scope of practice as pharmacists, so the pharmacist would always address drug interactions and how to monitor them. Some of them are you need to just monitor therapy or monitor side effects of this medication along with that one. Some of them needs modification, so you need to change doses, for example, or some of them are like completely X, like category X, which is like complete avoid combination. So If a pharmacist really works with neurologists closely, I think, in my opinion, this will save a lot of time, a lot of cost on healthcare professionals as well. A lot of like it'll provide more comprehensive care to the patient. So this is something I really hope it could happen one day.
Amazing. Yeah, that's definitely a great goal.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for this amazing interview. I really appreciate you taking the time to share with us your experiences.
Thank you so much. Thank you.